It's bad news coming out of the Middle East. In Lebanon yesterday, at least 9 were killed, nearly 3,000 injured, 200 of them critically, including members of the Hezbollah terrorist group.
Yeah, a shocking incident, not least the logistics of it. How did they do it? Was it devices that overheated somehow with a hack, or was it explosives planted? We're still yet to find out. Maybe we'll find more today. But the incident happened when the pagers of Hezbollah terrorists exploded in what's described as the biggest security breach since fighting broke out with Israel almost a year ago. Well,
overnight, a senior Lebanese source said 5,000 devices had been tampered with by Israel's spy service, Mossad.
Former British Army spokesman Major Mike Shearer joins us now, maybe with some answers. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for joining us so early. What is the situation then? How did Mossad, if it was indeed them behind this, which it probably was, how did they do this? Do we know any more yet?
I don't think we know too much more at the moment, but this is a massive security breach on behalf of Hezbollah's leadership, because it was about a year ago, I think, the message went out that to the ground troops, so to speak, that we must stop using our mobile devices because they can be geopolitically tracked or geo-tracked, I should say. They can be listened into, let's go old school and do something else. Well, I mean, they signaled that to whoever has done this. Let's be clear, right now we don't know. The likely finger is pointing at Mossad's operatives, but whoever did it was given a clear signal that they had an opening to do something. And we have resulted in these devices being manufactured. Nobody knows exactly where yet, and on whose behalf, and it has ended up in these casualties.
And among those injured, Iran's ambassador to Lebanon, Mojtaba Amani, the Lebanese saying that this is a violation of their sovereignty. And understandably, people very concerned that this could be a significant escalation in the Middle East. And it's always worrying, isn't it, when the Foreign Office issue a late-night statement calling for calm heads and de-escalation. This is being taken incredibly seriously.
Yes, indeed. Let's be clear about this. Israel is now fighting for its life on 4 fronts, and all directed by the Iranian powers. And so we have Iran as the paymaster, if you like, and the quartermaster, making sure that its proxies have whatever it needs to disrupt whatever it can with Israel. We've had missiles from the Houthis in Yemen. We have Hamas at its work as we speak. And of course, we have Hezbollah. Now, there's been no effective and overt intervention, if you like, from the administration in the Lebanon. So Israel has to take this fight to those proxies. It can't just sit back and be reactive day on day, because obviously they have to get it right all the time, whereas the proxies just need to get it right once to inflict terrible atrocities on Israel.
Yeah. Mike, Israel has been criticised this morning because, accused of being indiscriminate in this attack, if, again, indeed it was Mossad. A 10-year-old girl among one of the people who died. Have they got a case to answer there?
Look, I've said on this programme before, war is a messy business. Now, whoever has put these devices together has done it on the intelligence given to them by the leadership of Hezbollah. So whoever was likely to be holding these pagers was likely to be a malign operative against Israel. And sometimes that is going to go wrong. And I'm afraid that is the messy business of warfare.
Shocking, some of the footage that we're showing this morning. I'm not sure which float we've got, which we can sort of replay, but there's a picture of a man going about his business, picking some fruit in a market, and he has his leg blown off. This is the footage that I'm talking about, that guy at the back there. And the injuries that people have sustained, I mean, the word maimed is overused often by journalists, but these are thousands of people simultaneously being maimed, as Ben says, children among those, because, of course, you have a pinging device. Who runs towards it? Often children. The fact that Israel hasn't commented, I mean, does the silence almost speak 1,000 words?
Well, that is not unusual for the Israeli administration. And of course, you say there's a man going about his business. Terrorists have to eat as well. So, you know, it can look innocuous. But if it was Israel, then I think through customary international law, they would probably be having an absolute right to be taking the fight to the people that are threatening them on a daily basis.
And just last question, if you don't mind, Mike. Robert Jenrick has urged the government, in a slightly separate but I guess linked story. Robert Jenrick, the Tory leadership frontrunner, has urged the government to prescribe Iranian Revolutionary Guards as a terrorist organisation. Is that a good idea? Is it something you'd back?
100%. You know, people are speaking about, will this be an escalation in the region? But no one ever follows through with what that means. As far as Israel is concerned, how much more of an escalation could it be? I would not be surprised. Well, look, when we look back to October last year, when the terrible atrocities occurred in Israel, it was no surprise to me that actually someone was trying to disrupt the good relationships that Israel was having with Saudi Arabia and the Emirates and beyond. And without a shadow of a doubt, that has to be Iran mobilizing its proxies in order to disrupt all of that.
Yeah.
So if there is going to be escalation, I suspect it isn't like most people will think. And it just won't be an internal issue going on in the region. It could well be the West marrying up with the Saudis and the Emirates and taking a bit more of a robust stance with the Iranians.
OK. All right, Major Michael Shearer, former British Army spokesman, thank you for joining us this morning. It's slightly alarming as well, because some security experts and tech experts saying that, you know, because we don't know exactly how this happened yet, could our mobile phones be used in some sort of attack where they are deliberately overheated, exploding in our pockets?
There's a certain way to get to everybody, because everybody has a phone. Let's get the thoughts this morning of our home and security editor, Mark White. Good morning to you, Mark. Look, this is a worrying development. A lot of people will be extremely concerned about this being a significant escalation, with Hezbollah vowing to strike back. Israel are staying resolutely silent on the matter, but the Foreign Office here urging for calm heads and hoping to avoid any escalation.
Well, it is the policy of the Israeli government never to confirm nor deny these operations involving their security services. But, you know, in almost 4 decades of journalism, I've never known a story like this. It was an audacious attack that clearly required a very sophisticated level of planning and coordination. And what we understand now from multiple security sources is that high explosives at some point in the production line were inserted into these pagers, and they were triggered to respond to a certain pager message. Now, it's also been reported that the Israeli War Cabinet had this in thousands of pagers belonging to senior members of the Hezbollah terrorist group, that they weren't planning to detonate them just quite yet. It was at the stage, if the situation in Lebanon escalated to such a point that they felt a full offensive was required, then this would be the first hit, the first wave in that operation of dismantling the communications and, of course, taking hundreds, if not thousands, of fighters away from the front line. In doing that, But it seems that at least one, possibly two, members of Hezbollah had become suspicious about these pagers, and Israeli secret services moved very quickly. They got the approval, we understand, yesterday from the War Cabinet to bring this forward. And rather than have them discovered and taken out of service, they detonated them. In doing that, of course, it has the potential, well, of course it is, it's a very significant escalation, and all eyes really on Hezbollah in southern Lebanon and other areas across the Middle East, as well as Iran, its backers, to see what the next move is. Remember, of course, we were expecting for some time a huge retaliation from Iran to the killing of the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran on the 31st of July. The sides in that seem to have been talked down. Any missile strike from Iran in retaliation appears to have been put on hold for the time being, but I think now it is inevitable there will be a huge response to what unfolded on the streets of Beirut and other locations in southern Lebanon, and we should say in Syria as well yesterday.
Yeah, Mark, from a purely military perspective, an impressive operation. I've never heard or seen anything like this before. So Mossad, if it was them behind it, I guess props to them for such an advanced operation. But on the flip side, Israel is being accused of indiscriminately setting these pages off. A 10-year-old girl has died as collateral damage. Have they got questions to answer on that front? Are they being indiscriminate in their attacks on in Gaza and now, Beirut?
Well, look, there's no doubt some civilians have been caught up in this, as they often are in any war situation. But the vast majority of people, make no mistake about this, the vast majority of people killed and injured in these attacks were Hezbollah terrorists who were wearing these pagers on behalf of this terrorist group. Anyone else caught up in this clearly accidentally going to look at what might have bleeped on a family member's bleeper, or being very close indeed. And they'd have to be close because these were very sophisticated in the way they operated. Yes, they caused a lot of damage up close to the wearer of these devices. A senior security source told me last night that what appears to have happened is that the bleepers, the pagers, were designed to set off a message, a bleep, and that then these Hezbollah terrorists, in answering that bleep, would in most cases take the bleeper out of their pocket to bring up to their face to have a look at the message, and they exploded. So you've got lots of injuries where people have suffered severe facial trauma. Many have been blinded, hands have been blown off. Those that didn't do that, that either didn't hear it or hadn't yet picked it up off their pocket or their belt, suffered injuries to their lower extremities. So very, very significant, and as you say, a very sophisticated operation to pull off.
Mark White, thanks for analysis. We appreciate it. More from you a little bit later on.